If you had to list the top modern horror movies, I would be very surprised if The Evil Dead is at least not in the top 5. And one of the iconic images of The Evil Dead is that creepy structure out there in the woods. Yes, today on Dragon's Teeth, we're building the haunted cabin. Hi folks, welcome. Thanks for joining me today on Dragon's Teeth, where we are continuing the Innsmouth build with the second of our buildings. And as I mentioned last time, this one caught my eye online. Now I've had to put this together pretty quick because we actually used it Monday just gone for our skirmish game. So I'm pleased to say it went together very easily, apart from one thing, which of course we'll get into as we go along. Anyway, that aside, I managed to get it all assembled and all primed and painted in record time. So we'll go through that now, and at the end I'll show you what it looked like on the tabletop as well. Alright, let's start with the assembly. So construction is pretty straightforward. We've just got these two verandas and the porch roofs above them, and a couple of doors. It's a resin piece, so I'm using super glue to put it all together. It didn't come with any instructions, but it all seems straightforward enough. Having said that, there was one mistake that I made, which we will see later on. I thought for ease of handling I'd also make a base, so I'm using my usual carpet tiles, my sticky vinyl tiles. I could have made this a little bit bigger perhaps, but you know, it does the job. Cutting out the vinyl, and then I'll round the corners a little bit. And a good thing with these tiles is you peel this backing paper off and you've got a nice sticky surface to work from anyway. Of course I'm going to add some super glue on that as well. But that surface is very good at keeping things in place while the glue dries. There we go. As you can see, I might have made that a little bit bigger, but it's okay. I guess it depends how much sort of scatter or terrain and scenery you want to have around the cabin. Everything then got a spray of black undercoat, and then I start painting. I'm using 3 shades of brown for the walls, the poles, and the window and door frames. And for the roof parts I'm using a brick red. This comes out a little bit bright, but we are going to be giving that a wash later on. And the only other part, we've got the chimney stack and the fire breast inside, so that gets a couple of coats of a dark grey and then a dry brush with a lighter grey over the top of that. Then a final wash. This is my basic wash, the sort of dark brown one. And as you can see, I've not put those porch roofs on yet, because if I had those in place, I thought it would have been a bit tricky to paint the walls and the window and door frames. So just giving it a good coat of that wash. This was a wash I made myself, and I put that up on the channel a few weeks back. Now for the roof I'm using my Innsmouth wash. This is the green wash. It looks like I'm putting a lot on, but when this dries out, a lot of that fades in or fades away, so you get quite a nice subtle sort of slightly mouldy appearance. And then it's time to finish the base. As you can see, I've put those porch roofs on now, the veranda roofs. So I'm using PVA glue, I'm putting some flock down, and then I thought because I want this to look a bit abandoned, I'm just putting in some lichen and some moss around the edges as well. You'll notice the doors, by the way, I put those in as being a bit sort of crooked and hanging off the hinges as well, to add to that air of neglect. And now here's the finished thing. So you'll notice we've got a gap there between the roof, which I left unglued because I wanted access to the interior, and the building itself. I think that's because I put the porch roofs on just slightly too high, so we're getting that little overlap. So I'm going to fix that later on. As I say, I was in a bit of a rush with this, so I wanted to get it table ready. But I'll go back and maybe file those edges down a little bit so the roof sits on a little cleaner. This side is not so bad. Or I could just say it's just part of the fact that the place is collapsing. And here it is on the table. There's some of the other scenery I've made lately. My standing stones, my CD marshes. That's compact disc, not CD. And here's the necromancer's party approaching a cabin, only to find within a vampire, one of the brides of Ramstein. There we go then. Apart from that little issue I've got to work out of that gap where I've slightly misaligned the porch roofs, I think that's looking really good. I'm very pleased with that, and that's going to be cropping up in a lot of games as well, because, you know, especially when you're dealing with fantasy or horror, even sci-fi type games, who can resist a spooky cabin in the woods? That's the second of the Innsmouth Build buildings done then. We've got the Esoteric Order of Dagon already done. We've got our cabin. As you will have seen from last time, I've got my Innsmouth houses to build and one or two of those TT Combat buildings as well. Now, you may have seen that I was recently at Salute. I put a video report up for that just a few days back. Did I do any shopping while I was there browsing the 150 trade stands? Did I? Of course I chuffing did. And one place that I found, well, actually I'd earmarked them because I'd seen them online, was Crooked Dice. They make an excellent range of figures, and I got some great stuff there, which I will be showing you a little later on because they fit perfectly into the Innsmouth build. One in particular is outstanding. And also I saw they did, I think it was called the Phillips Mansion. So I had to get that as well. And I have to say it was pretty reasonably priced. It was 15 quid for quite a big sort of New England style house, I guess it is. So that'll be added into the Innsmouth build as well. Maybe we'll start on that one next time. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks again for watching. As always, please do keep those comments, questions and suggestions coming in, and I'll see you next time.